Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy to see that you've turned back on to see us, the Speakers Bureau, St. Lucie County Public Schools Speakers Bureau. It's been a great year, and we've had many people come on to share their life story. We have a very special guest today, Jamie Fowler, and she is our commissioner. She's the District 4. She's also the board chair this year, right?
I am, yes.
Of our St. Lucie County Commissioners. So, St. Lucie County?
St. Lucie
Yes,
County.
I was thinking Port St. Lucie, and I'm saying no, St. Lucie County Commissioner.
It happens.
You have a big job. You're
Yes.
dealing with the entire county.
We do.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit. Welcome first to the show.
Yeah, thank you.
program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. This is fantastic. Happy to be here.
Yes. And so tell me some more about what you do, because there may be people out in the community that really don't know what a county commissioner does. And so we want to explain to them that before we get started hearing the wonderful things about your life.
Absolutely. First and foremost, when Tallahassee enacts new legislation, it's county commissioners' jobs to make sure that those new laws are implemented, ordinances match up and line up. We also have to approve our budget and make sure we have a balanced budget. Project approval, that gets a lot of attention. I think people typically think that's about all we do, have those meetings and approve or deny projects. But I have to tell you, I spend 90% of my time just helping residents navigate the system. Whether, unfortunately they've come into a violation for code, whether they're having issues, navigating the process for permitting, all sorts of things. So quite honestly, that really encompasses a lot of my time. And that's really, I think that's the most important work that we're doing, right? Is helping our residents get through the process, because we know the process, but they don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So how long have you been county commissioner?
I was elected in November of 22, so I'm just going into my third year of my first term.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
And I really, at this point now, finally feel really good where I'm at, with what I've learned, with what's, behind me, and really excited for what's to come.
So the first 4 years was kind of just learning, the learning process?
Definitely the first 2 years,
2 years.
absolutely. Beginning of my third year now. I took the approach, we're all different, right? But I took the approach of sit back, listen to everyone. At the time when I came on, we had 3 very experienced commissioners that had been there for several terms. And so they had that historical knowledge, and they were really able to help me to understand why we were doing things the way that we were doing them, kind of where we've been, and this is why we're here now.
Well, I'm sure there's someone out there that wants to know why. Why did you
That's it.
run for county commissioner?
Absolutely. I felt like with talking to the community, our regular locals, our residents, didn't feel like they had a voice. So just like I mentioned that most of my time is spent helping residents navigate, they feel the consensus is, unless you have money or someone, you don't have a voice, you're not heard, you're not important. And I think that is not the right message that we wanted to be sending. And so I wanted to be part of changing that message, and hopefully we are.
So let's talk about the beginning of life.
Yeah.
Your childhood experiences. Who are you, Jamie? Who's your parents and how your family? What was that structure like? And just talk to us a little bit about your childhood.
So I think first impressions, no one would probably assume I came from such sort of a bumpy childhood, but born originally up north. I'm a New England baby in Connecticut. But at the age of 5, Mom and Dad already divorced, only child. My mom met my stepdad at this point in time, wonderful man who raised me. And however, from there we started moving around a lot. And so we moved about 10 times from the age of 5 to 17 from Vermont to Port St. Lucie, Florida.
Oh, okay.
Every single time we moved was Whitingham, Vermont, to Port St. Lucie, Florida.
So you
We
kind
had
of went back
family
and
down
forth for
here.
a while between
We
the two?
did. Second grade was split between two states. Third grade split between two states. And so on and so on. Had the pleasure of going to Bayshore Elementary, Morningside Elementary. Actually,
Okay.
my fifth grade teacher at the time, Miss Gibson, received Teacher of the Year that year. And she actually initially, talking about what you kind of first want to be when you grow up, I wanted to be a teacher, believe it or not.
Oh,
And she kind of helped to inspire me. So anytime, that she had to leave the classroom for a brief moment, she would ask me to step up and fill in. And so that experience, that empowerment.
What grade was this?
That was fifth grade.
Okay.
Yeah. So that, that was my first. From there was a slew of things, from a forensic pathologist, because I was very much into Patricia Cornwell at the time, an amazing author. And I mean, yeah, you name it. I was all over the place. I was interested in everything.
Okay. So being interested in everything as you were growing up, is this what, and you basically have answered this question, is this what you're doing today? Is it what you always wanted to do? How did you end up
I
being
never saw
county
myself
commissioner?
getting into politics. My mom and dad very much disconnected from it. Almost a feeling of there are no good elected officials out there kind of mentality. And then outside of that, the rest of my family is very, very involved, very Republican. And so we were sort of the outliers. Like I said, it wasn't anything that came onto my radar until my mid-30s. My mid-30s, just kind of seeing what was going on. I really started getting involved in terms of watching the city meetings and county meetings, and yeah, like I said, just having a feeling of I need to be a part of this.
Talk to us a little bit about your teenage years. So did you have any challenges, what took place?
So beyond the moving, luckily for my high school, we settled down. So I did attend 3 years of schooling altogether, which was fantastic.
And that was in high school?
That was in Vermont.
Vermont?
Yeah, Vermont,
Okay.
yes. And you want to talk about such very different environments. So when we would go back to Vermont, I attended a K through 12, 298 students, always under 300 kids. So it was literally like going back to brothers and sisters. I had the same, kids, as we came back and forth. And then even though Port St. Lucie was so small at the time compared to what it is now, it was huge to us. And, it'd have classrooms of 30 kids. And when we came back, I would never know anyone that was, in my new grade. So very different. That being said, sort of manifested, I had a challenge with an eating disorder, actually, in my high school years. I started about the age of 14 and hit its peak around 17. So it was a very trying time, because it wasn't a period where eating disorders, we talked about it. It was, kind of sort of didn't exist at that stage. So very difficult to get help. Access to help really wasn't available.
So how did you get through it?
To this day, I still really don't know. The only thing I can credit, honestly, is at the time, Martin North. I'd been in and out of the hospital quite a bit, obviously, and we went, and they actually finally admitted me. Normally, they would send me home and say, she needs to eat, she needs to drink, she's dehydrated. But
Which
they
we
actually
already
admitted
knew all
me.
that, but to get help with it.
Exactly. Yeah, they were. I credit them. They held me and moved me down to St. Mary's. I spent 2 weeks in ICU there, trying to recover organs, kidneys. They didn't know. Yeah, it was bad. I was down to 76 pounds.
Wow.
Today, to give you an idea, I weigh 134.
What are some of the causes that you can help us understand an eating disorder comes from?
trying to control what you can't control. So I was always smile on my face, even though, the back and forth, the moving, the unpacking, all that instability, and just always choosing to keep a smile on my face, be strong for my parents. I felt like they certainly didn't need any more stress with everything going on there. So for me, I feel that's sort of how it came out. And I was never big as a child, maybe a little, chubby. Did always have my mom in the background too, sharing that, she weighed 98 pounds in high school. And, so I always had that. Italian family, so the women were always on a diet of some sort. So I think I had some hereditary and environmental, influences that led me there.
What or who are you most thankful for?
My son.
Oh,
My
talk
son.
about him a little bit.
So I never wanted children. I honestly did not think I would be, I was afraid to have children. So, and just very much focused on my job at the time. Started to get into my late 30s and started to, I guess get that urge that they talk about. Met
Start
my
counting the
husband.
years,
Yeah, you
right?
kind of start sweating a little bit.
Yeah.
Which I'd never experienced. Met my husband, who I had known actually in high school, up in Vermont, ironically.
Okay.
And 18 months ago, we had a beautiful little baby boy named Easton Cole.
Oh.
And he is just truly my reason for waking up every morning.
Yes.
I mean, he's the happiest baby. I walk in the morning, he's smiling. It's just the best part of my day. I could have a horrible day and I see that face and it just all melts away.
Wow, that is so great. I've had 4 myself, so I understand.
God bless.
That smile that our children give us, how much that means, because that tells us that they're doing pretty well, Outside of when they get older like you did, and then you're smiling, but you're really hurting on the inside,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Do you believe in second chances?
Absolutely. We all have the ability to change. 100%.
Yeah.
We should never be judged on the person that we once were, especially if we're making a concerted effort to change and take the right steps. Plus, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay.
Plus, who are we to judge? There's one judge.
How did you get through your worst times? I mean, there's people out there now that says, okay, she went through a very trying time as a teenager, and even as a child, moving back and forth. In my own childhood, it was very trying, moving back and forth. But I didn't have the supportive parents that you had.
Gotcha.
So I have a different way of how I was able to get through the worst times. But outside of your parents, thank God, you had supportive parents.
Yes.
Because everyone doesn't have that. And I always say to people who do have not just a father and mother supportive, but if they don't have that, if they have one supporting adult, it could be a grandparent, it could be an auntie, it could be a foster parent, but they know that this person really cares about them.
Yep.
That's their anchor. Listen to that individual. That individual wants the best for you. And listen to their wisdom so that you can succeed in life as well, even though you may not have that supportive parents.
Exactly.
But outside of your parents, because it does take an inner strength, how did you survive and get through your worst times?
I immersed myself in school, in books.
Uh-huh.
Straight A student, Dean's List.
Okay.
Yes, love to read. Yeah, if I wasn't doing homework, I was in a book, in a corner somewhere. That was definitely my escape.
What book or quote, something someone might have said to you that changed your life?
So ironically, about 4 years ago, I was kind of going through, this kind of goes to we should always be working on ourselves. I was going through a period, I was reading a lot of books on, coaching and mindfulness and, just personal development. And
which is very important, that reading about self and how do you
Yes.
improve yourself.
That's right.
There's wonderful authors out there,
There
and
is.
people that have insight.
yes.
I do it all the time. I've got 4 books I'm on right now.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, you'll have to share them with
And
me.
I will. and each one has its own place and really complements the other, and it helps
Absolutely.
my thinking, So yeah, books are important.
They are.
Yeah.
One of the titles was, one of the books was, You Are a Bad. Three-letter word after that.
Okay.
By Jen Sincero. And, the book just kind of reminds you not to put yourself into a box. Don't let anyone tell you you're not ready for something. Maybe you haven't, done a particular thing, but that doesn't mean that your experience up to this point hasn't prepared you for that. And honestly, after hearing that segment, that's really what kind of helped to give me the confidence to make the decision ultimately to run, because I was really on the fence about it. Very private person. When you're an elected official, you need to be public. People want to know you, they want to see you, you have to share things. And so that book definitely, that definitely helped. And then there's another, Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. And the quote in there is, "We are what we think others think we are."
Okay.
Crazy, right?
Explain. No, just expand on that.
So we end up perceiving ourselves how we think others think of us. So
Okay.
not even the real perception of what others think, but our perception of what others think.
Which is real to us,
mind-blowing.
and it doesn't have to be the
That's
reality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
So,
still learning that.
I know. It's a work in progress.
It's forever a work in progress, but it's so rewarding.
It is.
When you are working on yourself and being able to look within and how can I improve rather than all those horrible people out there. Right?
That's right.
Can you name a person that has had a tremendous impact on your life? And I'm sure there's probably several, because no man's an island, right?
Right. So growing up, definitely, again, I was lucky enough to be blessed with a lot of wonderful teachers. And so, outside of home and the chaos as well, there was always that comfort of structure when I went to school. And
wonderful,
great
yes.
teachers. I had, the ones that stick out, Miss Dawson, 4th grade, Morningside Elementary, Miss Gibson, 5th grade. I had an amazing 10th and 11th lit seminar teacher, Mr. Davino. Just fantastic people that really made me think, helped to mold me. And then, honestly, outside of that, in my adult realm, I would have to say my previous boss, Tony DeFrancisco.
Okay.
I find myself, he's in my head every time. So one of the things that he, had to work with me on was, I hear in my head, Jamie, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Or Jamie, it's your tone. So I always have these little things. Because absolutely, I was, young and, hey, this is what it is, and very blunt and probably a little,
Your
crass.
previous boss. So
Yes.
you worked for him for how long?
A little over 20 years.
Okay.
Yes.
So you had a lot of time to input into your life.
Yeah. Between that and, learning people. So that saying, book smart, having no street smarts, that was definitely me. And then I was able to get that from working there. So
How important that is, that we are inputting into other lives, because we never know the tremendous difference that makes. As I think about different people becoming from a very unstable home, it was the community, and it was this person here. It wasn't that many, but those that did speak into my life made a tremendous difference, even when I did not know at that time. But like you said, we think about it over and over. You know, it could be years later when that thought comes back, and you say, you know, this person said I can do anything I put my mind to, you know. And I had someone that wanted to give me a scholarship when I was young. I had my high school equivalency. That's how I started. 16 years old, going to a little program in my neighborhood, little house that one of the colleges there at the time had planted in the neighborhood. And was able to go there and start basically over academically in order to, because of the trauma of childhood and not just blanking out completely because of it. These people took me on, you know, retested and evaluated me, started me there. I really wanted to get that high school diploma, but because of life circumstances, it wasn't happening that way for me. But this little neighborhood group of people, and I remember the director saying, you know, you're ready. In 6 months, I was ready to go get the high school equivalency. I'm saying, no, I'm not ready. And she's saying, yes, you are.
Right.
But I remember this woman, and here I'm almost going in, I'm knocking on 70 door, right? But I remember this woman even today saying, you know, we want to give you a full scholarship. At the time, I was living on my own, and I could not accept it because they would not pay for my room and board. They did give me wouldn't pay for my books. And here I'm young, I'm saying, well, I got to work. I got to make sure I have a living. You're not putting food in my mouth, right? But years later, that same voice and that same woman, if she knew today, when I was ready to move forward, went to college based on what she said to me. And at that time I had a family, and my husband, children, went back to school, and and not knowing whether I would be able to do it or not, went back and found out, yes, she was right. I had that potential, and I just needed to be at the right time in the right place I needed to want to have it bad enough that nothing was going to stop me. You know, nothing. I remember going back and forth to FAU in Boca Raton. And I'm driving the highway 3 days a week, and I'm like, am I going to be able to do this? I started at IRSC when it was IRCC.
I know.
Got the first 2 years done. And then but this woman that was in the back of my mind, and then having supportive people. My husband became very supportive of me going back to school. He cooked, he cleaned, he did whatever he needed to do to ensure that I could go back to school and study and so forth. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So it just goes to show, find people that are going to be in your life that's going to help you.
Absolutely.
You know, no man's an island, as I said before. So what advice would you give someone going into a leadership position for the first time?
Stay humble. Put in the work. Put in the time. And
stay humble.
Yeah, right. But remember to use your position to inspire, you know, the next generation, to use your position to bring people in, to see what we do, to learn what we do, because the more educated our residents are, they can be advocates for us, you know, word of mouth, spreading the correct information, the right messages. And children are just, again, so impressionable. Again, thinking for me, who sticks out in my mind still all these years later, for you, same thing.
16
and so that's
years
not
old.
unique. That means everyone in life has these people that at some point, you know, they just will always stick out for certain reasons. And I want to be a part of that. You know, at 15 years from now, who's Commissioner Fowler, right? They're not going to remember what project I approved or didn't approve, or what fantastic traffic policy I just implemented.
No, they're not.
but a young man or a young woman that I interact with, or perhaps participates in the Shadow the Commissioner program that I have, and they get inspired to join local government, now I've done something.
Yes, yes, I agree. Totally agree with that. Now, you mentioned about books, how much you enjoy books, the time, see how much, what time. What about songs? Are you into music or a song? Is there any song that you could think of right now that would sum up your life right now?
You know, I don't think so, but I will share.
Okay.
Me and my husband will hear songs that remind each other of the other, and we'll send them. And so for me, it's Gabby Barrett, The Good Ones. It's a song about, you know, men.
Tell us.
Good men,
Okay.
you know, that
Okay.
are there for you, you can count on. And then he,
That's a good one.
it is a good one. And then his for me is Jason Aldean's Girl Like You.
Okay,
So.
okay. So what's The Girl Like You? That's kind of the opposite of what you, because I've heard neither one of those songs, to tell you the truth.
You know,
I don't
both country
remember, but-
songs.
Oh, okay, I'm not into country songs.
Sort of
so that's what
basically
it is.
like there's something about me he can't explain. Like it's just, yeah.
What is one characteristic you believe every leader should possess? Humble?
Truly.
Yeah,
Truly. You know, because I see so many times where we forget where we come from.
Yeah.
And so staying humble, staying grounded, right? I can see how it can be difficult for some people with the titles and all the, you know, recognition and we're dignitaries. No, I put my pants on the same way still.
Yeah.
I'm just Jamie.
Yeah, remember where we come from.
Yep.
Jamie, thank you so much
Thank you for having me.
coming
This
and
was so
being a
much
guest.
fun.
We've enjoyed your story tremendously, and I know that there are people out there that can relate to many of the things that you shared with us today. Thank you for being so open.
Thank you. My
And
pleasure.
yeah, we appreciate you. We appreciate what you do, and especially sitting as our county commissioner. We need good people like yourself who don't forget where you come from
That's
and
right.
are humble. Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you, Dr. Mills. Thank you so
Enjoyed
much.
you very much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Likewise.
Okay.